From Zero to the Zenith, the Andrew Carnegie story. Everything you possess today, the buildings, the bridges, the phone in your pocket, and the chips inside them, all have an ancestor. People called me the Steel King. Some called me the richest man in the world. But I saw myself merely as a student. Are you curious how I transformed from a boy on the muddy roads of Scotland earning $1 a week into a man managing $300 billion in today's money? I'm not going to talk to you about formulas. I'm going to tell you how to turn your mind into an empire. I had a secret. And before I died, I entrusted this secret to a young journalist named Napoleon Hill. He shared it in his book Think and Grow Rich, but most people forgot to read between the lines. In this 20-minute journey, you won't just watch my life. We will dismantle the gospel of wealth, the blueprint I left behind for you to become the architect of your own life. If you're ready, let's begin. But be warned, these rules are not for those who love their comfort zone. The equation of survival. Let us go back to 1835, to the town of Dunfermline, Scotland, to that damp room where it all began. By 1848, my father's weaving loom had been crushed under the massive gears of the Industrial Revolution. Hunger wasn't a choice, it was a reality. When our family pulled their last few pounds to board a ship to America, we weren't just crossing an ocean, we were rewriting our destiny. People call that hope. I call it the survival equation. At 13, I started working as a bobbin boy in a cotton factory in Pittsburgh. 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. For what? Just $1.20. For most children, this was a prison, but for me, it was a laboratory to understand how the system worked. I calculated every penny. When you have nothing in your pocket, your only capital is your time, and I was determined to sell mine at the highest interest rate. My next step was as a telegraph messenger. I memorized every street in the city, every businessman, and every important message. I learned to read Morse code by ear. Information was the oil of that era, and I was at the very center of the source. While other messengers were playing games, I was decoding the city's nervous system. Success is being ready when opportunity knocks. But I didn't just wait at the door, I built the door myself. On Saturdays, Colonel Anderson would open his library to working boys. There, I met Shakespeare and history. Among those dusty shelves, I realized physical labor keeps you alive, but mental labor sets you free. If you can access a person's mind, you can access their empire. In that library, I stopped being a laborer and became a visionary. The power of focus and mastery. They always told you to diversify your risk, didn't they? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Let me tell you why that is a rule for the mediocre. He who scatters his attention scatters his power. I invested my entire fortune, my entire mind, and my entire energy into one thing: steel. I didn't just produce steel. I controlled the railroads that carried it, the mines that provided coal for those railroads, and the ships that transported that coal. The math was simple. Every penny paid to a middleman was a brick stolen from my empire. Today, they call this vertical integration. I called it protecting the basket from every angle. If you control every variable from raw material to the final product, you reduce uncertainty, variance, to zero. Many businessmen focus only on profit. I focused on cost. The market determines the selling price, but I determined the cost. I had the cost of every single ton of steel calculated to the penny in my factories. If you can drive your costs just $1 lower than your competitors, you rule the market. Numbers don't lie, but those who don't know how to read them lie to themselves. When I saw an opportunity, I did not hesitate. The moment I saw the Bessemer process, I knew the age of iron was over. Production that took days with old methods now took minutes. This was leverage, getting massive results with minimal energy. That is the true formula for wealth. The mastermind and leadership. Most people want to do everything themselves. That is fine for running a small shop, but it is a disaster for building an empire. I didn't understand steel very well. I couldn't even repair most of the machines in the factory. But I knew one thing better than anyone else: people. When two or more minds come together in total harmony for a common purpose, a third, invisible power emerges. I call this the mastermind. Think of it as a mathematician. 1 plus 1 does not equal 2 here. If you combine the right minds, the result increases geometrically. $1 plus 1 equals $11. I wasn't the smartest man in the world, but I was the conductor of a brain trust, made up of the smartest men. When I paid Charles Schwab a $1 million salary, people thought I was crazy. That was a fortune in those days. Schwab didn't know steel better than I did, but he knew how to bring out the best in people. A leader's job is not to crack the whip, but to ignite the desire for success within people. I didn't sell people salaries. I sold them partnership and vision. If you try to control everything, you can't grow anything. Real power is delegating authority. While I was vacationing in Scotland, my factories were making record profits because I had built the system, chosen the people, and trusted them. If your business doesn't run without you being there, you aren't a business owner. You're just a high-paid slave. The philosophy of giving. I spent the first half of my life making money and vowed to spend the second half giving it away. Most people hoard money, but flowing water stays clean, while stagnant water stinks. My philosophy was simple: the man who dies rich dies disgraced. Wealth is a sacred trust to be returned to society. Why didn't I give money directly to the poor? Because handing money to those in need only feeds their weakness. I gave people a ladder. Climbing it was up to them. I established more than 2,500 libraries. Why? Because young Andrew had found himself in those libraries. Real philanthropy is providing the tools for a person to help themselves. If you have $1 billion today and take it to the grave, your value is mathematically a big zero. But if you enlighten thousands of minds with that money, your impact reaches infinity. I melted steel and built buildings, but my true legacy is those massive palaces of knowledge built from paper and ink. Wealth is not an end, it is a medium of change. Your turn. People always asked me, Mr. Carnegie, if you started today, what would you do? My answer is simple. I would do exactly the same thing. Only the tools have changed, but human nature and the mathematics of success remain the same. Today, your steel factories are the phones in your hands, and your minds are data. You no longer need thousands of workers to build an empire. You only need unshakable focus and the right strategy. What about you? Which factory are you spending your time building? Or are you dividing your energy among dozens of unnecessary tasks, only to end the day with a big zero? Remember, life is not an addition, it is a multiplication. If your focus is zero, no matter how hard you try, the result will not change. Now go and find your own steel. Choose your basket and start watching it. Here, we will learn not just to be rich, but to leave a legacy. See you in the next lesson, if you are ready.